Emma Moss, A World of AI Imagination.
Good afternoon. My name is Emma Moss, and I'm a digital teaching and learning specialist in Canyon School District. I'm excited today to take you on a little bit of a journey of a world of AI imagination. The first time that I saw generative AI, I remember I sat there in total awe, like, wait, it can do what? Wait, I could, and I started writing down all these different ideas. I remember sitting next to my partner and being like, wow, I could do this in my classroom, or this in my classroom, or this in my classroom, and got so excited. And the only thing that I can describe that feeling was the same way what I felt when I heard these lines. So I don't know if you remember that scene from Willy Wonka, where my Willy Wonka, Gene Wilder, walks in, and we have Charlie and all the kids in the background, and they just pan over this scene. And there is like a chocolate waterfall, and there's like these candy mushrooms, and there's all these different things that are like coated in sugar. And you're sitting there and you're like, wow. And it was that same emotion that came of like, is this even possible? Is what I'm looking at even real? And that's how I felt in this moment when I saw what generative AI was capable of, and when I've continued to see what it can do. So whether your Willy Wonka is Gene Wilder or some of these other actors, or even the book character, if you've only ever read the book, this is the book cover. But for whatever Willy Wonka you had, I just want you to remember that moment of just like, this is pure imagination. And I want you to think about, what if that world of imagination was powered by artificial intelligence? What if you could take those images and things that you see in your mind's eye and make them a reality? And that's what's possible today, is that you can take some of those things, whether they be images or music or the stories inside of your mind, and create them. And so that's what I did. This is a prompt for a video that you're going to see here in a second, but it is to create a video with a vibrant, saturated POV, so point of view. And it's going to enter this surreal factory hall. I thought, if I were creating my own Willy Wonka factory, what would it look like? Instead of candy, I thought it would be really fun to have floating music notes and add in those that crystallize into instruments with ink droplets and transform into storybook characters as well. Like, I had all these elements in my mind. I'm also very much a pastels person, and so you're going to see that color scheme here. Also very much in love with spiral staircases. I think those just have this moment of like, inspiring. So just take a second. Here's the video. Watch that for a second so you can see those music notes, those ink blobs. We've got characters. Got to have the fountains, right? All of these moments. And I thought, well, I'll just also make an image. That way I can have a video, I can have an image. And all of this is done in less than 60 seconds. Both of those were created inside of Google Gemini, one with VO3, which is their video-powered background generator, and then also Nano Banana. So in less than 60 seconds, I can take my mind's eye, craft out a prompt, and say, here's what I'd like to see. So what if you could build worlds of your imagination? What would be in it? What would you have? So let's build one. And let's build it together, because I think that'll be a little bit more fun. Whether you're watching this after or you're sitting here today, take a second and build some of those things that are created for you. To do that, I'm going to invite you to use Google Gemini. You can go to gemini.google.com. It has Nano Banana that's built right in, and you can create with this. In full transparency, if you're using the free version, it means that the AI model may be training on your data. So just know that that may be the case. Also, if you're using the free version, it's limited to about 20 images, so our imagination may be limited to something short and small today. But if you're using an educational account, those things are protected, and so wherever you're at and whatever you do, feel free to jump along. So in my imagination, I am really fascinated with the idea of memories. Memories can hold things, and most of the time it's what we hold on to. It's those things that we look back on that create those emotions of Willy Wonka, or the sadness of when a friend moves away, or the moments of history in our lives. I actually started out as a history teaching major, and so the idea of bringing in pyramids and the Parthenon and some ancient statues seemed like a really cool idea in terms of memories. I think for me as well, it's part of the reason I'm always taking photos and pictures of things is because I want to remember what these moments are and what they mean to me. So in this case, if you had to create a person who stores all of the memories in your mind, what does that person look like? Take a second, kind of picture what they look like, and maybe create an image of that. When I was thinking about it, for some reason in my mind, it's a filing cabinet. I have lots of little filing cabinets that are storing all of these memories with an older gentleman. He's wearing a tie. And so I gave AI that prompt. So here's my memory store. I don't know if he has a name, but he has all his filing cabinets with all this information that I can go find quickly. And in my imagination, he has all these little photographs of things that he could pull out in a moment's notice and I could reference. And then I thought, what if I made him hold that memory ball? This looks a little out of place, I'm not gonna lie. I was so excited about this and I was like, that looks weird. And you'll notice here with AI, those models are actually transferable to say, take this image of this memory ball and take this image of this old man and overlay them. I'm not doing that in terms of photo editing. It's all done with generative AI. And so I was like, because this doesn't fit, I think what I want to do is modify that so it's a little cooler. So here's my high detail portrait of the librarian. He is an erythral being with skin like mahogany. He has this glowing eyes. And I was like, this feels much more science and exciting and imaginative. And that took a lot of crafting from my friend over here who has the green tie and the filing cabinets to something a little bit more built up. Now, he's just holding a book here, and the goal is that I really want him holding my memory sphere. So here we go. You'll notice here in these blue boxes, I've given you all the prompts. If you are watching this after, at the end, I'll have a link that you can pull all of these and use them. But I thought, hey, this is cool. And AI had a moment. You may notice here that our librarian has 3 hands. And I was like, well, and he's also missing a finger, which I think is funny. But I was like, let's try that again. So can you take away the hand that's on top, and let's go ahead and put that on the bottom. And this is all done through that writing, that crafting, that narrative language of what's happening inside my head. So here he is holding that. And I thought, okay, he's so cool, but like mind's eye-wise, I don't think he's just standing there holding one memory. Like I've got a lot of memories inside my head, so let's go ahead and put him on this massive floating desk. Seems like a fun idea. And surround him by bookshelves. I still like the idea of hard copies of things, even though I love tech. It's feeling kind of Dumbledore-y, I'm not gonna lie. But we're gonna take this and maybe add in some dust, some shadows, some of that library aesthetic. Remember when I taught middle school, I gave them the word aesthetic when we were planning out how do we actually go through a manufacturing process and design process of a room, and looking at how do these things coordinate and match. And so here I'm using that skill in designing this. And then taking it one step further and thinking, what would the exterior view of that look like? Now, from a teaching perspective, this kind of descriptive writing takes a little bit more than 60 seconds, but actually getting students to a point where they can describe and take their ideas and build. And so this is a tower. I was like, I really like the color purple, wearing purple today. I've got giant rings of cosmic dust and making this very scientific in terms of how do you do this. And then I thought, I wonder what it looks like if you back that up. And I'm asking more questions as I'm building and I'm looking at how I can bring my imagination to life to then add sky whales. If you've ever seen Star Trek, always been fascinated by the flying whales in that one movie. But here I wanted to make them translucent, kind of match that color scheme, and make it so that this world felt real in some senses. And I took it even further and was like, let's put it in nebula. That seems like a grand idea. Let's take that and make that archive into something that fits into an even bigger viewpoint. For me, I think when I approach education, systems are really important, and so I'm thinking of this whole system of what does this librarian look like? What can I do? How can I integrate in this way? Okay? And then I thought, wouldn't it be cool if you could see that all together? So I took a prompt and wrote it, and I was like, let's make a trailer-style video. Let's make it so, in the beginning, you see this giant helix DNA structure of my whole world, and see what happens. So I did. And that is done, again, with Google's VO. And then I thought, okay, so this is cool, but what does that sound like? Now that I've designed this space and creative world, what does that actually sound like? What does that mean? And I took Lyria 3, which is also a Google product inside of Gemini, and thought, let's do it. So if you go inside of Gemini, if you're going on this journey with me, you can click the Tools menu, and down at the bottom, there's a Create Music option. It will do about 30 seconds for you, but it'll do it with lyrics and in multiple languages. I watched someone create an entire set of 30-second song in Korean the other day. They don't speak Korean, but it was pretty cool K-pop music. For this one, what I did is I wanted that same feel of what the world I had created, the world inside my head with this imaginative place. So here, you can see here, I wanted to make sure that I had that cinematic essence. I decided to call this the Archive of Echoes. And you can see the lyrics to this track, which I'll go ahead and show you and should come
In
through.
robes of woven starlight's gleam, I walk the halls of a cosmic dream. Each glowing orb holds time and space, the memory of a long-lost place. I am the keeper of every echo, the silent flow of what the stars know.
Okay, so you can see there, really neat in terms of what it can do with what I'm describing. And I was like, yeah, that's pretty good. That's what I want. That's what it sounds like to me. And so taking that and trying to take this vision of my head of what does this look like, I could then take it one step further, which you saw a preview of, and I can actually take it into Google Vids, and I can make that into a narrated character. So I uploaded that image, and this, I don't have a video here for you, but he will actually read a script about what he's doing with the movement from that image. So that's cool. So what? What does this actually mean for education? What does this actually mean for our students, our classrooms, what they're doing? And I just want you to imagine what students could create. I'm one person here in this space, but what we want to know is how do we bring this power of generative AI, of creating with our imagination, into our classrooms? So one of the ways that you can do that is through character design. So the prompt I used for this was to create an image of a character who lives in a floating city in the sky. The character is curious, brave, and loves to explore. This is a very on Lexile level for a third grader. And these are the third grade standards. Describe characters in a story, explain how their actions contribute to a sequence of events. You could start with this prompt, have an image, and then here you can see the project design, have them actually write the motivations and add to and build what this character is feeling, doing, seeing. And that helps build their creative energy of how they can apply what they're doing and creating into a space like this. We also have this one, the visual world design. This one connects up with some of our math and science standards. Imagine here they have this world of a floating city, but you could have that and give it blueprints and say, here's the plot I have, let's look at architectural designs, let's actually calculate the mathematics and models that are going into this. Is this an accurate image? Does this work structurally? Here I have also students can calculate population size, energy needs, and actually create and visualize and interact. What I love too about this is you could very easily take this image, turn it into a video, and actually have it turn around so you could see multiple angles of this. So from a design perspective, it's not just creating, it's expanding and building and making what they're already learning about tangible for them. This one also interactive storytelling, writing narratives using techniques and relevant descriptive details. So this one has them actually writing a beginning of a story, and then which ways could that go? How could you build? For a secondary level, they have a fantastic program called Google Colab that you can actually collaborate with the AI to build out these different ways of things that are coming out. And so you could have students with a program that has multiple branches that they're then analyzing as they bring it in. Same thing with this story writing at a younger grade in 6th grade. We also have podcast storytelling. So now with programs like Notebook LM or Adobe Podcast, we have different elements there. Students can actually write the script and have the narrated voice do it for them, which again is cool, but what are the skills that they're building in that process? Are they going through? Are they analyzing? Are they evaluating? Here they're looking at making strategic use of digital media And our students are going into a world where they're going to have access to all these tools where they're presenting their ideas, whether they're in STEM areas or career and technical education, or they're in the humanities, where they have to have access and know how to manipulate these in a way that helps them tell the stories that they have. So I think for me is, can you only imagine a world where all of our students have the capabilities to do that? And for me, I can. One of the teachers that I had the privilege of working with was a special education teacher that worked with nonverbal students. And what they did was they created a Mad Lib, and their students selected words for that Mad Lib to fill in what they were learning about. Great way to have them demonstrate learning. It then had an image generator that then generated from that pre-set up scaffold with the words in it to actually help those students create in ways that they weren't able to before. And that's what's possible. In the age of AI, you can take things from guitar playing, to podcasts, to storytelling, to creation, to any sort of design, and you can change it in an instance, like this. I went from just a regular day to this is the Willy Wonka-ized version of this. But at the end of the day, what really matters is you and me. And what I mean by that is that technology is always changing. We've always lived in a world where technology is moving forward, whether that's the internet or generative AI or social media. They are always evolving, and we're learning new ways to engage with it. And so the thing that is constant in all of that change is us and how we respond to it and how we integrate it and how we look at how can we use this in a way that's safe but also impacts our students in a positive way. So that when they're thinking about what do my memories look like, and they think about this, they can make it a reality and then say, how can I build on that, like with this guy? That if you're comparing these two, you might say, oh, well, maybe the cool erythral guy with the whole world is a lot better than the filing cabinet man. But to me, I actually like the filing cabinet man. It's more representative of who I am and how my mind works. But at the end of the day, I know that because I know that I'm a creator. And students have to remain creators in whatever they're doing. They have to be students that know that what they're doing is valuable and the meaning that they're bringing to the world is important for who they are based on what they're learning. And that starts with maintaining their creativity. Whatever field they're going into, that creative, imaginative power is so essential. And helping them see that makes them uniquely human in that process is so important. Things like the random floating whale, that no one would get the story behind it unless you hear me talk, but that's important to me. The other thing that we have to do is we have to make sure that we maintain the student agency and student choice, that they have abilities to take their ideas that they've creatively designed and then have a choice in how they apply them, so that they are using that critical thinking skill, that they're not just handing off their ability to choose and their ability to create to an AI model. Just because an AI can, for example, like this, doesn't mean necessarily that it should. And what I mean by that is that we really have to maintain how our students are engaging and help them come to understand that what they're doing and learning in a classroom is important, so that when the AI creates something with 3 hands, they can look at it and say, oh, yeah, that's probably not right. And they can use that base knowledge to then empower everything else that they're doing. Which is why I say, what matters at the end of the day is you and me. So when you come with me and you're in this world of AI imagination, remember that creativity and agency must persist so that imagination for our students can thrive. Thank you.